Somebody bought a house on your street last month. Same bank as you, same loan, but worse timing. And they're paying a lower interest rate than you are. Not because they negotiated harder, but because they are new and you're not. And the gap between those two prices is the single most profitable thing an Australian bank does. In the next 10 minutes, I'll show you the exact size of that gap right now, why a falling market makes it worse instead of better, and the reason your bank is relying on your house being worth a little less than you think it is. And at the end, I'll give you the 2-sentence phone call that gets it fixed because the discount already exists on your loan. It's just switched off until you ask for it. So let's start with the number because it's not complicated. Right now, the Big Four are advertising variable rates to brand new customers around 5.69 to 5.74. That's the front book. That's the shop front price. Meanwhile, the average rate actually being paid across the outstanding mortgage book in this country sits around 5.9%. So it's the same banks with the same products, but different customers. Now, 5.9 against 5.69 doesn't sound like a crime. That's the average, and averages hide the worst of it, which we'll get to in about 90 seconds. We'll take a $700,000 loan over 30 years. At 5.74%, your neighbor is paying roughly $4,080 a month. At 5.9%, you're paying about $4,150 a month. That's around $70 a month or a bit over $800 a year for the crime of having signed earlier. You did nothing wrong. You've never missed a payment. In fact, you're the safer customer the bank has years of your repayment history, and they have to spend nothing to keep you. And that's the whole point of this. The Australian mortgage book is about 2.51 trillion as of June 2026. Every single basis point sitting on that book is pure margin for them, and the cheapest margin a bank will ever earn is margin taken from a customer who isn't looking. That's the two prices for the same product. Now, here's the part that matters more because the gap isn't fixed. It grows. The ACCC ran a full home loan price inquiry into exactly this, and what they've found has never been structurally fixed since. Loans between 3 and 5 years old were paying about 58 basis points more than loans written new. Loans 10 years or older, 104 basis points, not $104, 104 basis points, a full percentage point on the whole balance. Now, that was the ACCC's measurement, not this month's headline, and I want to be fair about that because nothing in the plumbing has changed since. Today, the back book tiers that haven't been renegotiated are typically running 30 to 50 basis points above what a new customer walks in and gets. And on genuine legacy products, old package loans, discounted products, loans that got absorbed in a bank merger and then forgotten, industry commentary suggests the gap can run well over a full percentage point, though the exact figure isn't independently confirmed. Nearly 2 full percent on the same balance sheet at the same bank in the same week. So the mechanism is loyalty itself. And the banks aren't hiding it. They're betting on inertia. So the obvious answer is refinance. Get up, walk out, take the front book price. Which brings me to the trapdoor, because here's what the softening property market actually does to an existing owner. And it is not the thing everybody talks about. Everyone frames a price fall as an equity story. Your paper wealth goes down, you feel a bit worse, you get on with your life. That's obviously not the cost. The cost is that a falling valuation is the exact thing that stops you leaving your bank. So let's walk through it step by step because it's essentially mechanical. Refinancing requires a valuation. So your new lender doesn't take your word for what the house is worth. They send out a valuer or they run an automated model of recent comparable sales in your street. So in a soft market, those comparables come back relatively light. And when the valuation comes back light, your loan to value ratio, that's the loan divided by what they say the place is worth, that goes up. If you cross 80%, the new lender will want lender's mortgage insurance. So in plain English, LMI is an insurance premium you pay that protects the bank, not you, if you default. You got to pay extra for that too. And here's the bit that basically traps everyone where they are. LMI is not transferable and it's not refundable. You already paid it once years ago to your current lender. That money is gone. If your new LVR pushes you back over 80%, you pay it again from scratch to the new bank. On a 600K loan at 90% LVR, you're looking at somewhere around 9,800 to 10K. Across the market, that bill typically lands somewhere between 5 and 15 grand. And on a bigger Sydney or Melbourne loan, it runs obviously much higher. So when you run the maths, it looks pretty bad. You're chasing a 40 basis point saving on $700,000 loan. That's roughly $180 a month. The switch costs you 10 grand in insurance you've already bought once. You're almost 5 years underwater before that decision pays for itself. The saving is obviously real, it's just been priced out of reach by a valuation you had no say in, and the number of people hitting this gate is moving. A few years back, the share of borrowers presenting to refinance at an LVR of 91% or above went from 14% to about 20%. And we don't have confirmed up-to-date data at this point, but that trend has continued to keep running into 2026. 1 in 5 people trying to switch now is arriving at that same conclusion. There's basically no equity buffer. And there's a second lock on the same door. APRA requires a new lender to assess you at your contract rate plus 3 percentage points. So with new customers, rates around 5.7% to 5.9%. A fresh application gets tested at closer to 9%. The maths makes no sense at all now. To move to a lower rate, you have to prove you could afford a rate nearly 3 points higher than the one you're already comfortably paying. Your existing bank never retests you. You're already on their books. They just keep collecting. Research from Mozo and Finder this year puts the scale of that somewhere in the range of 36 to 40% of borrowers under pressure can't refinance externally at all. Mortgage prisoners is essentially what you could look at it like. That's the actual term the brokers use, and 84 to 87% of them say they have clients in exactly that position, with serviceability named as the single biggest barrier. So let's just say it for what it is. The softer market is not neutral for your bank. Every point your valuation slips is a point of leverage that keeps you from shopping around. A price fall doesn't just cost you equity. It hands your existing lender pricing power over you, and they are already using it. Nobody sends you a letter about this. There's no email that says, congratulations, your house is worth less, so we've decided you're now a captive customer. It just shows up as the rate that never moves. Quick thing, and it's directly relevant to what we're looking at right now. Every number in this video is a timing number. Your neighbor got the better rate because they signed at a different point in the cycle. Your valuation is soft because of where we are in the cycle. The LMI gate only exists because prices moved. None of that is random. It runs in a sequence, and it has run in roughly the same sequence for over 200 years. A little bit crazy. And that's what my new 18-year property cycle workshop covers. We'll discuss where we actually are in the cycle right now and what has historically come next. It's free, it's next week, and the link is the first one in the video description. If you've just worked out you're the person stuck behind a valuation, that's the session that tells you how long that condition usually lasts. And most importantly, what we're doing about it. So let's get back to the banks and the data. Now, I want to put the other side properly because there is a genuine argument here, and I'd be dishonest to skip it. The Australian mortgage market is, on paper, one of the most competitive in the world. In 2025, there were 640,000 refinances. That's up 20% on the year before. The biggest refinancing wave on record, roughly 36% of total mortgage demand. And 64% of those people switched to a completely different lender. That is the banking industry's own argument, and it's a fair one. Hundreds of thousands of Australians moved, and the doors were open when they did. Brokers write most of these loans now. Comparison sites of free digital applications have collapsed the paperwork. If you engage with this market, it works for you. Now, I could be wrong about how bad the inertia problem is. It may be that most people who care are already moving, and the back book is simply the people who genuinely can't be bothered over 70 bucks. I'm not your financial advisor, obviously, and I'm not going to pretend I know your loan better than you do, but here's where the steel man turns, and it turns on one number. Internal refinancing. That's the people renegotiating with the bank they already have. No move, no new application, and this jumped around 27 to 30% year on year among investors, but the equivalent owner-occupier number barely moved up. That was up 0.4%, which tells you the banks are being selective about who gets the discretionary discount, not handing it out broadly. Think about what that actually means to the market. The banks are cutting rates actively right now. They're just cutting them for people who pick up the phone. The discount isn't scarce. It isn't rationed or anything. It's just discretionary. The ACCC measured this too, and again, nothing structural has changed since that point. Around 89% of Big Four variable rate customers were carrying a discretionary or package discount off the headline rate. Nearly everybody has one. It gets applied on request or on the threat of leaving. never volunteered. And meanwhile, loan commitments by numbers fell 5.4% in the June 2026 quarter. So the flow of new customers is shrinking, which means the value of basically holding on to you just went up. Okay, so here's what to actually do about it. And I want you to do this first part this week. Pull up your loan, not what you think you're paying, not the rate you signed at, the rate on your most recent statement to the decimal place. Then look up what your own bank is advertising to a new customer today for the same product, same LVR band, owner occupier, principal and interest. The difference between those two numbers is your loyalty tax. Annualized on your balance, that's the dollar figure you've been donating. Now, the phone call. You do not ring the general line. You ask for the retention team or the customer loyalty team. Those are real departments with real discretion and a real authority level to discount. And when you get them, here are the 2 sentences. Say them slowly and then stop talking. Sentence 1, I've been offered a variable rate of X% elsewhere on a like-for-like loan. Sentence 2, can you match it or should I start the discharge paperwork? Then go silent, do the whole mafia thing. The word discharge is the one that routes the call because that's the internal trigger for a retention save. And if they say no, you have more room than you think, even in a soft market, because as of their last publicly confirmed policies, CBA, Westpac, NAB, St. George and Bank of Melbourne have all offered a streamlined assessment for like refinances, same loan amount, same term, no cash out, where they'll apply a 1% serviceability buffer instead of the full 3%. Check that with your own bank directly, obviously, because these policies do change. That changes everything about the maths I just showed you earlier. Tested at around 6.7% instead of 9%. A whole cohort of people who assume they were stuck are not actually that stuck. They just never asked the right questions. And on the cashback side, the majors have largely walked away from cashbacks, but the non-majors have not. Several are still paying $2,000 to $4,000 to take a loan across. That won't cover a 10 grand LMI bill, but if your LVR is comfortably under 80%, it more than covers your discharge fee, your new application fee, and your valuation with change left over. So run it in this order. Check your rate against your bank's own new customer rate. Get one written quote from a lender you'd actually be willing to move to because your call has no weight without it. Then make the call, ask for retention, use the 2 sentences above. If you didn't get them, go back, pause and look at the captions so you can write it down word for word. And if your valuation is the thing blocking you, ask specifically about the streamlined like-for-like assessment before you accept that you're locked into it. 3 things to watch from here. Watch that 91% plus refinance cohort. If it keeps climbing past 20%, more people fall behind the LMI gate every quarter and the back book premium gets easier to hold. Watch whether the internal refinancing numbers keep growing faster than external switching. If it does, it tells you the banks are winning the retention fight cheaply, 1 phone call at a time. Get a free automated valuation on your own place from 2 different lenders' websites and compare them because they don't agree. And the one your bank uses is the one that decides whether you're allowed to leave. That's your number, not the national average. Make the call and get a rate cut. Post the 2 numbers in the comments, the rate you're now on and the rate they gave you after you asked. No suburb, no personal details, just the 2 numbers. Let's see how this thing plays out. I want to see how big the gap actually is out there because I genuinely don't think the average is telling the whole story, just like it hasn't for many of the other data points. We have to get out there and find the numbers for ourselves. I read every single one of those and I reply to as many as I possibly can. I also cover charts, stocks, commodities, and Bitcoin over on my other channel, Jason Pizzino, and there's a link to that in the video description. And if this whole thing made you wonder where we are in the cycle, that's the workshop I mentioned. Links in the first one in the video description. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care and peace out.